Good morning. This is the third chapter of class 10th NCERT history book, Nationalism in India. I have already loaded 4 modules related to this particular chapter, in which we have discussed the various parts of the chapter. This chapter is broadly divided into 4 parts. The first one is the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation. The second one is the differing strands within the movement. The third one is related towards civil disobedience, and in this part of the module we have to discuss the sense of collective belonging. If you people remember, when we have discussed the first chapter in class 10th history, the rise of nationalism in Europe, we have discussed one particular topic, and that was romantic imagination. Romantic imagination said that if the people of different areas have a common culture, they must get united. They must not get united because of any science or any fiction. They must get united because they are following a common culture. The same topic we have to continue in this particular module, the sense of collective belonging. The first sub-part we will be discussing under the sense of collective belonging will be identity of a nation symbolized in figure or image. If you again recall the chapter of nationalism in Europe, the 5th part of the chapter said visualizing the nation, and to visualize the nation they have framed allegories. The female figures, for example, Germania in Germany and Mariana in France. So we will discuss the same thing over here. The second part will be dealing with movement to revive Indian folklore. Again something from romantic imagination. If you people remember, Karol Korpinski in Poland revived the culture of Poland, or tried to unite the people of Poland through the use of mazurka and polonaise. So the same thing we will be discussing in the Indian frame. Use of icons and symbols, reinterpretation of history, and finally the problems. Let us move towards the first part, that was identity of a nation symbolized in figure of image, and I have taken the image, that is the image of Bharat Mata. Again, if we go back to the first chapter, that is the rise of nationalism in Europe, they have visualized the nation in the form of allegories, and the allegory was a female figure taken. Why a female figure? We have already discussed in that chapter. Because the female figure can be taken as the mother of the whole citizens who are residing in that part. The citizens or the children, they have an emotional attachment to the mother. The mother also has more emotional attachment to the children. She takes care of the children. So if this type of attachment can be built between the country and the citizens, obviously it is going to have a strong attachment, and all the people of the country will feel that they are the part of the family and they are related to the mother India. So the identity of a nation or the identity of India came to be visually associated with the image of Bharat Mata. The image was first created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay through his poem Vande Mataram as a hymn to the motherland. If we go by this word Vande Mataram, let us divide this word into 2 parts, Vande and Mataram. Vande to pray, and Mataram to consider the country as your mother and to pray the mother. That is Vande Mataram. And he created this poem, and this poem was put into his novel, that was Anand Mat, and this poem or this song became very famous during the nationalist movement. It nearby united the complete country. The second image was created by Rabindranath Tagore. Moved by the Swadeshi movement, Rabindranath Tagore painted his famous image of Bharat Mata. The photograph is also given in the NCERT book. In this painting, Bharat Mata is portrayed as an ascetic figure. She is calm, composed, divine and spiritual. If you look at the image in the NCERT book, you will come to know that this figure is a very simple figure. This one is wearing a saffron color dress. Saffron color represents the sacrifice. So the country is willing to sacrifice each and everything for its citizens. So the citizens must also be willing to sacrifice each and everything for the protection of the country. So the images were created. One was created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay through his poem Vande Mataram, and a real image was created by Rabindranath Tagore through his painting of Bharat Mata. These were some of the initiatives taken to unite the people of India to a common figure, the figure of Bharat Mata. The next heading which we have to discuss is revival of Indian folklore. India is a country of diversity. In each and every part of India, there are different type of folk culture. They have different folklores. If we go by the book, in the late 19th century India, nationalists began recording folk tales sung by bards, and they toured villages to gather folk songs and legends. Each and every part of the country is having different type of folklore, different type of folk songs and legends, and people are emotionally attached towards these things. So if we can unite the nationalist feelings with the folklore, the folk songs and legends, it will become very easy to unite the people of the country. For example, this was done to promote the traditional culture that had been corrupted and damaged by the Western forces. As the Western forces came into India, they tried to dominate the culture of India, they tried to suppress the culture of India, and they tried to reimpose their culture. They wanted to show that their culture is more dominant than the Indian culture. So some of the nationalists, Indian nationalists, they tried to revive the traditional culture of India. They tried to show that our culture is somewhere superior, if not inferior, it is somewhere superior than the culture of the British, and it was only possible by reviving the folklores, the folk songs and legends. In Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore, and in Madras, Natesa Sastri made important contributions. They collected the various type of folk songs and legends which were prevailing in the society where they were residing. For example, Natesa Sastri came up with the collection of Tamil folk tales, the folklores of southern India. He believed that folklore was a national literature. It was the most trustworthy manifestation of people's real thoughts and characteristics. And if we can unite these things, we can unite the complete country. Then came the icons and symbols. In Bengal, a tricolor flag was designed. If you remember, in France also they have made the tricolor. The three colors were representing the three estates present in the society. In India also a tricolor flag was designed. It had 8 lotuses representing 8 provinces of British India. It was having a crescent moon, which is equally important for the Muslim society. If you people remember, Eid is somewhere related with the moon, the crescent moon, and it was also important for the Indian society. The various religious festivals of Hindus are somewhere related with the moon. So this one was taken as a symbol, a crescent moon representing the Hindus as well as the Muslims. Later on, by 1921, Gandhiji designed the Swaraj flag. It has a spinning wheel, that was the charkha, representing the Gandhian ideal of self-help. Gandhiji had a firm belief that if each and every Indian follows the charkha, practices the charkha, that can generate the self-employment by which you can derive the money which will be very helpful in buying the food, and the another basic requirement of the human being is clothes. So you yourself is weaving the cloth. So the primary requirement of human being, that is the food as well as the clothes, can be easily derived from charkha. So he took it as the symbol of self-help, and this one was a part of the national flag. If we move towards the next one, that is a reinterpretation of history, a very important part. When the Britishers came into India, they tried to show, they made the Indian people realize that their culture, the British culture, is far more ahead than the Indians. And many of the Indians started following their culture. They forgot the culture of Indian, or by this the Britishers tried to make them realize that they are the part of the British. If they are following the British culture, obviously they will become the part of Britain, and they will forget their Indian culture, and by some time they will forget that they are part of India. But the historians or the nationalists tried to reinterpret our history, by which they wanted to bring this thing in the front of the common people, that our culture is somewhere more superior than the British one. When the people will get confidence in their culture, obviously they will come to know that they are nowhere inferior than the British. And if this concept of inferiority complex is getting over, definitely they will get united, they will become spiritually powerful, and they will feel somewhere that they can fight with the British. This spirit has to be generated, and this spirit was generated through the idea of reinterpretation of history. Modern education in course of time evoked interest in the correct understanding of India's past. Attempts were made to rediscover and restudy the past of India to enhance the understanding of the present. If we or the common people of India can read their past, they will come to know that by 16th century we were the golden bird. We were so rich, we were the spiritual leader of the world, we were somewhere, we can say that we were leading in each and every part, and the complete world was following us. But if we study about the 19th century, we have become very poor, we were dominated by the British. So there was something going wrong. The people were not connected to their past, the people were forgetting their past, and they were getting under the concept of inferiority complex. They were influenced by the British culture, they were forgetting their culture. So if these people can be presented with the past, if these people can read their past, they will come to know that we are definitely far more superior than the British culture. And when this thing will come into their mind, for example, it has been discussed in the next point, much of the new knowledge about India's past gave a sense of pride to the Indian people and helped in their awakening. Many Indian scholars took up the study of Indian history and culture in a systematic way, and the appreciation of India from a specifically Indian point of view began. Though the British also started studying about the Indian culture, because they felt that if they have to rule over India, they have to know about India also. So they also started some of the initiations to learn about the British culture, but they started this thing with the British view only. They wanted to promote the British interest only. But the Indian nationalists also started this reinterpretation of history, but it was through the Indian point of view. We wanted to recreate the sense of collective belonging among the Indians. We wanted to remove the sense of inferiority complex from the Indians. This urges the readers to take pride in India's great achievement in the past and struggle to change the miserable conditions of life under British rule. So these were some of the steps taken to revive the sense of collective belonging among the Indians. But there was a problem also. When the past being glorified was Hindu, for example, the image of Bharat Mata. If we learn about the other religions, let us take the example of Islam. In Islam, Murti Puja, you can say, is not allowed. In Islam, God is not having any type of image. So we can say that idol worship or Murti Puja is not allowed. But in Hindu religion, you are making the idols. Durga is there, Kali is there, and various other goddesses are there. And the same way you are trying to create the image of Bharat Mata. And the Islamic society doesn't allow the worship of any idol. So when the past was the past being glorified was Hindu, the images were drawn from Hindu iconography. Obviously, people of other communities would have felt left out. Somewhere it was giving the feeling that whatever things are being revived, it was something which is related to the Hindu society only. But overall, it played a good role in uniting the complete country. It played a good role in reviving the sense of collective belonging to the complete Indians. So that is the end of this chapter. Overall, in this chapter, we have discussed how Mahatma Gandhi turned the Indian national movement into a mass movement. He came back into India after 1915. Till 1919, he went to the various parts of the country promoting his ideas of Satyagraha. Finally, he started or he jumped into the Indian national movement by starting the Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act. He went for two massive movements. The first one was the non-cooperation movement in 1920 and then the civil disobedience movement in 1930s. But both the movements, though they were successful in uniting Indians, but these movements were not successful in throwing away the British from India or in gaining independence. Some regions were there. In the non-cooperation movement, we have seen different people were having different strands. They were thinking of different aims, and when your aims is not united, is not one, obviously it becomes very difficult to achieve. The same thing we can discuss about the civil disobedience movement also. Different people who participated in the civil disobedience movement were having different aims, and you were not fighting unitedly against the British, and if unity was not there, it was very difficult to achieve your aim. But overall we can say Gandhi turned the Indian national movement into mass movement. For the first time in the history of India, Indians were feeling united, and that was all because of the efforts of Gandhi and we can say Congress. So that is the end of this chapter. All the best.